In this clip, we're going to go ahead and have a look at the ZBrush layout for sculpting rocks. So here I got my ZBrush open, and as you can see, it's rather different to the standard ZBrush layout that you get when you open it. And that's because I believe in creating the workflow as easy for yourself as possible. So I put all the brushes that I use into my UI. Some people use shortcuts, but I prefer to have it this way because there's just way too many brushes and it's really hard to remember them all. So it depends on what kind of person you are. But in order to get this kind of layout, all you have to do is create a sphere, for instance. If you go to Preferences, Config, Enable Customization, and if you hold Control and Alt, you can literally drag all these icons around. And you can even go to, say, Material, and just grab this little icon here and bring it in. That way you can really easily make the layout you like. If you like the way I laid out my ZBrush, you can of course have a look at the files here and you can download that as well. Now let's have a look at what we have here. So here I got a sphere. I'm just going to go quickly through the brushes that I use most commonly. Now, due to the resolutions of the tutorial, I couldn't fit my entire layout here, but you can see most of the brushes I use, and I can go ahead here and show the rest. The most common brushes I use is, first of all, the Michael Orbs brushes. They're probably the most amazing brushes out there on the internet for sculpting stylized stuff. Not only rocks, but wood, metals, anything. Orbs Crack Brush being the most popular brush right now. Not long ago, Orb released his surface brushes, and they're just amazing and very useful. Another thing I use is a set of my own brushes that I created quite a while ago. I created wood brushes and polish brushes. These really help create my own look to the assets that I create. Another set of brushes I use is just a bunch of brushes that I downloaded, a bunch of rock brushes. All of these will be, of course, included into the tutorial files. There's very useful brushes to create quick shapes and things like that. Next, we got the clay brushes. We have the orb brush, we have just standard clay brush, and these are very useful to build shapes really fast. So let's go ahead and just create a few shapes here. So really quickly, you can create really great shapes without putting too much effort. So clay brushes are really useful to just build up things. Next thing I use is a lot of the polish brushes. So we have the H polish. I have my own AG polish here. I got clay polish, orbs polish, basically pretty much every polish there is. I got trim dynamic, trim adaptive, which is also sort of a polish brush. Let's go ahead and just use mine, for instance. It sort of very quickly creates cracks and flatter shapes. We have the orbs brush here, and that really helps to make sort of really flat, nice shapes. And of course, you can use Alt here to extrude and just paint to intrude. And these brushes really help me create rocks really fast. Another brush I really commonly use is the planar brush. It's quite a tricky one to master, but once you get it, it's really helpful. So if you click Alt and just create shapes, you can really make those geometrical shapes really fast. Another great thing you can do is you can decrease the intensity of this brush, and that will allow you to make sort of much smoother transitions here. So crack brush is definitely something you should use a lot. That really helps to sell the stylized idea. So if you enjoy playing Blizzard games or any other stylized games, you would notice a lot of these cracks everywhere, and Orbs brush is really helpful in that. So definitely practice with that. The best way to use it is probably to use the lazy mouse. So if you go to the strokes, lazy radius, and you can just create those very nice cracks. And then you can go in and using AJ polish, for instance, you can just go ahead and polish it out a little bit. Another one I use quite often is the smooth peaks and smooth valleys. And these really help to sort of clean up your geometry. So for instance, in here, I have a little bit of a mess. So if I use these smooth peaks, I can go inside and just smooth it out. Now, because it's smooth peaks, it only smooths out the sharp corners. It doesn't smooth any cavities. So I still have cavity going on here, but the shape here is much smoother and much more slick now. So these are pretty much the brushes and layouts I use. So if you want to download these, you can go ahead into the source files and find the ZBrush layout, find all these brushes, and in order to place these brushes to your ZBrush, all you have to do is, if you go to your C drive, and Program Files, Pixel Logic, ZBrush, ZStartup, Brush Presets, and if you copy all of these brushes here, they would really help. So this is it for this clip. In the next clip, we're going to go ahead and start sculpting our rock.